France is entering a political rupture zone. The French presidency is under ideological siege at home, even as Emmanuel Macron projects strength on the world stage. Jean-Luc Mélenchon has launched one of the most vicious political assaults on a sitting French president in years, tying Macron directly to what he calls the global rise of Trumpism. This is not routine opposition rhetoric. This is an attempt to delegitimize the Western leadership model itself.
Comrades, what are we facing? Is Trumpism a form of fascism? I will not beat around the bush. It's fascists, Nazis, colonialists, in different and diverse forms. It's always the same thing, the same content, the same structure. It is supremacism. Therefore, because of their skin color, they feel destined to lead and dominate, and in return, expect those who do not share their skin color to submit and accept their submission as a law of nature. Some, because they believe that they are, and they alone, the true religion, demand that others either join them, remain silent, or die.
Mélenchon's attack goes far beyond Trump as an individual. He frames American power itself as a supremacist system built on domination, war, and hierarchy. In his telling, Trumpism is not a deviation. It is the naked expression of what American power has always been. And he warns Europe that this ideology is now being imported into its own political bloodstream.
There is a nation that embodies all that, believing itself to be superior to all the others. It is the United States of America, continuously at war with everyone. And now, we are facing Trumpism, which is a form of supremacism. The consequence is apartheid. It is separate development. The United States perpetually at war with everyone, the last nation of what they dare call the West, protected by regimes of different treatment of people based on the color of their skin. Supremacism always leads to the same thing, the law of the strongest.
And in Mélenchon's framing, Emmanuel Macron is no longer Europe's shield against Trumpism. He is its European mirror. The French president, he says, has lost democratic authority and replaced it with coercion. Macron speaks the language of democracy. But Mélenchon accuses him of ruling through force when consent collapses.
When the capitalist regime prefers to function quietly with people's consent, but when people no longer adhere to it, when they no longer respect authority because they have understood that the authority was unhealthy, based on unequal rights and privileges, then they shift to authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is not the continuation of authority, it is the acknowledgement of its bankruptcy. It is because authority is no longer respected that one must shift to authoritarianism, that is, to violence. And that is what Mr. Trump is currently doing. And that is what Mr. Macron is currently doing.
Just days earlier in Munich, Emmanuel Macron was telling a very different story about himself and Europe. On the global stage, he presented Europe as a rising geopolitical power, determined to be taken seriously by Washington, Moscow, and Beijing. Macron backed Trump's push for a negotiated peace in Ukraine, while demanding that Europe be at the center of any deal.
But credibility is not only a question of missiles. It is in large part a question of determination. If we want to be taken seriously on the European continent and beyond, we must show the world our unwavering commitment to defend our own interests. It starts, of course, with continuing to extend our support to Ukraine, but it could nicely follow with fending off unjustified tariffs and politely declining unjustified claims on European territory. This is what we did, and this is what we will do.
The contradiction is now impossible to hide. Macron speaks of geopolitical power and European dignity abroad. Mélenchon accuses him of democratic decay and authoritarian reflexes at home. One frames Trump as a negotiating partner, the other brands Trumpism a fascist ideology. France is now split on how to deal with America and what kind of Europe it wants to become.
I fully support President Trump's drive towards a negotiated peace, one that should be just, lasting, and robust. And I want to believe that we're getting closer. But as discussions are taking shape, Russia keeps pounding civilians and destroying energy facilities with the obvious aim of freezing Ukrainians into submission. The answer cannot be to cave into Russia's demands, but to increase pressure on Russia instead.
With the 2027 presidential election approaching, this confrontation is no longer rhetorical theatre. It is a referendum on France's political future and Europe's ideological direction. Is Macron building a stronger Europe? Or is he importing the very Trump-style politics Europe claims to resist? For Mélenchon, the presidency has already crossed the line, and he is demanding Macron step aside.
This battle has begun from now on and until April 2027. May intelligence return to this man to allow him to understand to what extent his interminable end of reign is a blow dealt against the country and against everything we believe in regarding democracy in this country. This is France, this is the Republic, this is a democracy. Have the intelligence to leave on your own.